It's the Civil War for Oregon, a chance to stay on top of the conference standings. For the Beavers, the continuation of their climb up the ladder after a rough patch in the Pac-12. In Tucson, a showdown went down to the final seconds. The Huskies got defensive while the Cats experienced some deja vu. With Faisal Aiden out with a knee sprain, the Cougars were ripe for the upset in Tempe. And in the women's Civil War, the Ducks had another one right there in their grasp, only to watch the Beavers rally behind a barrage of threes. We've reached the midway point of the conference season, but this edition of Inside the Pack is just beginning, and it rolls right now.
I think I grew up knowing that the Beavers were good and the Ducks were bad. You know, don't steal, wash your hands, make your bed, the Ducks suck. Like that was something that I heard growing up in my house.
That from Kevin McShane as we get ready for the 336th Civil War. Certainly typifies the rivalry between Oregon and Oregon State, to say the least. Hello and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pack. Tom Ward here with you for the next 30 minutes and joined, as always, by Nick Krupke. And Nick, coming into the 336th Civil War on Sunday, we had two teams that at times can turn up the defensive intensity. Oregon State with that 1-3-1, or they played an aggressive 2-3, and then Oregon with that last line of defense in the paint. You got Tony Woods there who can erase shots, as well as Olu and guys like that.
It certainly worked in the first half. He had the 10 blocks, we're looking for a school record, and then all of a sudden, second half adjustments by Craig Robinson and company. Nothing going there, in Oregon State, everything right. Season low, 23 points that first half. They crank it back up with 53 in the second. And a big win for them, too, now, because now you approach that second half of the conference season back to more of a respectable conference record where they thought they would be at the start of the season. Of course, a couple of tough losses. For Oregon, though, hey, only 3 conference losses the first half of the season here for you. You're certainly still right in the mix there with California and Washington and Colorado, too, which you'll see soon.
Certainly not the end of the world for Oregon.
No.
They came into this game, though, having won every game 9-0 when they were scoring 70 points or more. You figured in this game, typically with Oregon State, I should say especially with Oregon State being the highest scoring team in the conference, first team to 70 would win, and that's exactly the way it shook out.
It did. Eventually, they all played the second half, but the first one, boy, but the 20, it was not pretty in the first start.
You were wondering if anybody was going to get
had
to
10
70.
points when Oregon State had 10 points itself as a team, so certainly things started off very slow.
Well, Sunday's 336th Civil War at Matthew Knight Arena meant different things to the Ducks and Beavers. With a win, Oregon could stay tied atop the Pac-12, but a Beaver victory would make it 3 straight victories for OSU. The Ducks had won 17 of the last 18 meetings with the Beavers in Eugene. Coming into this one, Oregon State still looking for its first road win in conference play. Early going, first half, Oregon native Garrett Sim. Kick out, 3-ball is good, gives the Ducks an early 5-point lead. Sim wasn't recruited by Oregon State. He said, nah, they didn't want me. Later in the first, another Oregon native, E.J. Singler, good from long range. The 3 makes it 18-10. Ducks on top. The Beavers, though, tried to keep things close. Joe Burton down low, hits the fadeaway, cuts the Oregon lead to 22-14. Earlier in the week, Dana Altman said the Ducks would get some easy looks because of the Beavers' aggressive D, and there it is. Tony Woods throws it down, make it 26-18 Oregon. A little later, Oregon State closed the gap with a 5-0 run. Ahmad Starks hits bottom for a 3, makes it 26-23, but the Ducks went to the locker room on a high after Carlos Emery's putback slam. Oregon up 28-23 at the half. We go to the second half, and the Beavers come out aggressive. First, it's Cunningham. Corner 3 is good, cuts the lead to 36-33, and then the steal, and Cunningham runs out, and you know he can finish and do it very well. Beavers trailed by just 1. A little later, DeVoe Joseph responds. His own corner 3 from the coffin corner there, and then on the other side, back-to-back threes to extend the lead, 45-39. Oregon State comes back, though, and takes the lead when Starks steps up and hits another one from downtown, 46-45. Beavers on top, and down the stretch, the Beavers, the more disciplined team at both ends of the floor. Roberto Nelson hooping the harm. It's now 63-47, and then Devon Collier works his way into the paint and puts down a huge jumper. Beavers looking like they're going to cruise, up 16 with 6 minutes left, but the Ducks clawed back, down 3 in the final minute. Singler, a shot to tie it, is off the mark. Scramble for the ball. goes out of bounds, but Oregon State does get out of Dodge with the W, 76-71, ending the Ducks' 4-game win streak. Meanwhile, it's the Beavers' third win as they head to Colorado, third straight. Ducks in Utah on Thursday.
Cunningham led him with 27. Joseph right behind him with 26 for Oregon in his first Civil War. Starks 15, Collier 13, Burton 10. The Ducks 1 block away from tying the single-game team record, but all 10 of those came in the first half with blocks. For the past few weeks, we've been praising the game of Tony Woods. The Beavers may lead the conference in block shots, but Tony and company denying seemingly everything that came their way in that first half. Beavers just snuffed out there. Tony, along with Tyrone Nara, Nolu, Ashalou, big-time denials there. 10 blocks the first 20 minutes, then zip, zero, nada, zilch after that. Now, in the next couple of weeks, Woods can break Blair Rasmussen's single-season record for blocks with 42. Tony 4 on the game on Sunday, now has 36 on the year. It's only their second loss this season when recording 4 or more blocks. They fall to 8-2 now, and they rack up those 4 or more overall. The 23 points for Oregon State, a season low in that first half, but they fired back, of course, with the 53. Now you look to go back on the road. The Beavers are in Colorado. Nice to see some different places in the Pac-12. Colorado is tough at home. Utah, maybe a little bit better chance for a win, but to Oregon State right now maybe seems like the team that we thought they would be coming into the conference season.
Well, certainly a chance for both Oregon and Oregon State to at least get a split in the mountain, the mountain schools against the mountain schools out there. And something I don't know that I've ever seen in a game where you talk about the halftime adjustment. One team has 10 blocks in the first half and has none in the second.
Craig Robinson, one heck of a coach, and you look now at the turn of the conference season. The Beavers still probably the biggest disappointment. They could probably say that themselves, only because they came off that stellar non-conference start. Being said there, they're still very capable of peeling off the next 2 or 3 weeks some top-notch basketball. Just haven't quite seen that consistency. Cunningham came into Sunday, led the league in scoring, becomes the 19th Beaver to top the 1,000-point barrier in his career. 3 in the first half, finished with 27. Obviously, huge there, big key. Both teams very shaky from the start. The Ducks, a couple of turnovers. They had a season high, which is a low of 23 turnovers. The Beavers struggled too, but again, we know that they can certainly turn things around, and they did, and they've helped turn their season around. Very pivotal game, I think more so for Oregon State than it really was for Oregon, because now OSU can feel pretty good as they head out to Utah and Colorado again and get a nice chance to feel better about themselves after that 4-0 loss to Stanford, the tough one in Arizona. Now you're back on track. At least you think you are.
Well, it wouldn't be a classic Civil War without a little fur flying there at the end.
A little bit too, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. Well, Oregon entered the 336 Civil War, just a half game back of Washington in the Pac-12 standings, but was hoping to keep pace with the win. Still to come on Inside the Pack. We'll go back to Matt for more on Sunday's Civil Wars. The Beavers look for win number 14. Plus, would the return of Amanda Johnson be enough to push the Ducks to a win in the Women's Civil War? And as always, lots more Beavers, Ducks, and the rest of the Pac-12 online all the time at our website, InsideThePack.com. We are back after this. With 3 and 5 records in the Pac-12, both the Beaver and Duck women were looking for a big win in the Civil War to propel them into the second half of conference play. The team split last year's contest, with each winning on their home floor. And on Saturday inside Gill, that was where the Ducks blew a 20-point lead last February. First half, after missing 11 games with a thumb injury, Amanda Johnson comes off the bench for Oregon. A.J. buries the 3-ball, gives the Ducks a 12-11 lead. 16 points, 8 boards for Johnson in a return. OSU tried to get it inside against that zone. Alexis Bostic to Patricia Bright. Beavers up 20-15, Bright with 11. Ducks come back to tie it. Ariel Thomas from long range. Her second triple of the half, make it 20 apiece. Oregon 8 of 28 from downtown. Beavers were 10 of 32 from deep, but Alyssa Martin drains this one to give OSU a 1-point lead at the half. Second half, Beavers push the lead to 5. Shakiana Edwards-Teasley gets free inside, making 36-31 Oregon State. But the Ducks then go on a 22-9 run in transition. Nia Jackson all the way to the hoop, puts Oregon up 6, 12 for Nia, but the lead did slip again. Beavers answered with a 19-4 run as they went crazy from outside. Sage Ndendi, then Alyssa Martin, and finally Allie Gibson. 3-ball corner pocket. The freshman logged a career-high 23 points with 5 3-pointers And there it is, 67-60. Beavers win. 11 ties, 15 lead changes in this one. After going 3 for 16 from three-point range in the first half, the Beavers made 7 of 16 in the second half.
Yeah, the Ducks had 13 steals, forced 18 Beaver turnovers, but Oregon managed only 10 points off of those. The Ducks hadn't lost back-to-back games in Corvallis, well, for the first time since 03-04.
This isn't a team that breaks. We work hard at that. We talk about that. We talk about scenarios. You know, what if we get down? What if? You know, well, this is how we come back. And this team has a big heart and a lot of fight in them, and now some belief.
We've been down so many games and come back, and we always fight. We're never going to let go. You know, we're never going to give up. So we knew that if we just pulled through and made some big plays, that we could finish.
The Beavers finished the game on a 14-4 run, thanks in part to the Ducks committing 4 of their 17 turnovers during the final 3 minutes.
We're prepared all week not to give them open looks, and you know, I think we got caught on the screens a lot. They used their screens really well, and it got them a lot of open looks, and they knocked them down when they needed to.
Yeah, obviously, in the end, it was the last 4 minutes that we struggled to make shots, and they were burying threes on us, so bad combo.
So the Beavers now 11-2 on the year when they hold the opponent to 60 points or less. Their 4 conference wins already double that of last year's only 2. That late run, about the final 8 minutes, those shots just really fell at the right time. Alyssa Martin got it going. Then Gibson would run free on the baseline, pick her way into the corner. That made it a 2-point game. 17 of Allie's 23 came in that second half, and then a nice little cut by the freshman Martin found her on the alley-oop. So while the Beavers were taking care of things down the stretch, the Ducks were blundering it away. Oregon State with 22 points off 17 Duck turnovers. Oregon went about 3 minutes without a field goal there, so Oregon State now enters the second half of league play by winning 3 of its last 5. The Ducks have dropped 3 of 4. But they do get Amanda Johnson back. They did. She looked maybe a little bit winded, maybe a little bit out of shape, but for her to come out there right off the broken thumb, right out of the cast this week and go 16 points, 8 boards, certainly says a lot about the character that she is and the kind of player she is.
No question, she can do it. The other thing that stood out to me, Scott Rueck now in his second year has really flipped this program around. Yeah. I mean, there was a time when that would have just wilted in conditions like what they were facing after Oregon went on their run. But there was the quick trigger on the threes by Allie Gibson. I mean, you talk about just that shows a team that is experienced and also is confident in itself that she can just pop that 3 from the corner. I mean, she does it without even thinking, and it's all net.
And they kept doing it. I mean, you can turn away when you miss so many, but then down the stretch, that's when they started hitting them when they really count and they make their run, too.
So we have reached the midway point of the conference season. The question now, who do you like so far? You
know, early in the season, you could probably re-roll the tape from the preseason show. I said I liked Arizona, but they had way too many close defeats right now. They're 5-4 in league. Colorado doesn't seem to be any good away from home. Cal's got the upperclassmen, got the leadership, but I'm going to go with the youth of the Huskies. They've been trying to find their way. They still aren't quite there, but it's 7-2. Easy to say, but Washington right now my front runner.
They definitely showed some championship mettle with the win in Tucson. I like Cal. They've split the Washington and Oregon trips, and they could do the same in Arizona, swept LA at home convincingly. Also, they're the only Pac-12 team who could conceivably make the NCAA tournament without winning the Pac-12 tournament. As we've talked about, there are scenarios where one team wins the regular season, another team wins the tournament. I think a lot of teams have to win the tournament in order to get to the big dance. Cal could be one of them that could win the regular season, maybe make it to the championship game of the tournament, and still get into the NCAA.
You know what the difference is, to quote Ernie Kent?
Seniors.
California.
Senior leadership.
Yeah, here they are again.
Right. Well, the 336th Civil War is now in the books as the battle at Matt went in favor of Oregon State. Still to come on Inside. We'll head back down to Matt Knight Arena as we continue to break down part 1 of the yearly series between the Ducks and the Beavers inside the Pac. We'll be back. Welcome back to Inside the Pac, the 336th Men's Civil War now in the books. Beavers win at 76-71. Phil Milani has more on a 53-point second-half performance that allowed Oregon State to pull out the win.
Coming into the 336th Civil War, the Ducks were a perfect 10-0 in games decided by less than 10 points. However, it was the young, more athletic Beavers 1-3-1 zone that forced 23 turnovers, and Oregon State turned that into 30 points in the paint on their way to snapping a 13-game conference road losing streak.
We came out fairly slow, but once halftime hit and we seen that we was only down by 5, we kind of talked about that and just came out with more energy in the second half and just worked and grinded out to the end.
All our fans, at school, they're talking about it. This is big for the state of Oregon. It's the biggest rivalry, I would say, ever. So, yeah, it means a lot.
We got a couple of deflections at first. I don't know if you saw those, where we didn't come up with them, but it made them think, okay, if we keep doing this, we can get some. And I think that's where the momentum changed. We got a couple of easy run-out baskets and a couple of transition threes.
I think their 1-3-1, really sparked them in the second half, and they got a lot of turnovers in that. Yeah, definitely, it was the turnovers that really sparked them, and they got easy transition buckets.
We just turned the ball over a bunch of times, and they went down and shot pretty easy shots. It was second half. I don't know the exact time, but there was a couple, momentum swings there where we just kind of gave it to them.
The Ducks were led by DeVoe Joseph's 26 points. However, they were unable to win their 5th game in a row, falling to 6-3 in the conference, as both Oregon and Oregon State go on the road this week to face Pac-12 newcomers Colorado and Utah. At Matt Knight Arena, I'm Phil Milani for Inside the Pack.
Thanks a lot, Phil. I guess the big question after the Ducks lost this game was E.J. Singler going to cut that hair?
He said, he contemplated doing it after the game in Arizona, but he got so much grief from the crowd, from the zoo out there. Garrett said, no, you got to keep that, man. But he says, yeah, if we lose, maybe I'll cut it off, and then again, maybe I won't. But hiding it in the hat there after the game.
He certainly did hide it in the hat. Well, we go with the March Madness, but before we begin the second half of the conference season, we need to hand out some crowns. It's time for Court Kings.
Got to get the graphic department to do a new one. Court Queens, Allie Gibson, great spot to have her best game as a Beaver, the freshman, a career high so far. 23 points, 5 triples, along with 3 assists and 3 steals.
My Court King could very well be the freshman of the year in the Pac-12. Probably will be. Tony Roten with 17 points for Washington, but his block in the final seconds helped seal the win for the Dogs in Tucson.
Tough luck there for Arizona this year. More royalty with a Court Queen again. She may not be back to full health after missing those 11 games with a broken thumb, but Amanda Johnson on the men, still the best player for Oregon. 16 points, 8 boards in 21 minutes. Good to see her back and a little more healthy with the arm. Touch looks pretty good, though, when she was out there on Saturday.
Yeah, tough deal for the Oregon women. You have to think that had Amanda Johnson not broken her thumb, of course, we're dealing in shoulda, coulda, woulda here, yeah. But Oregon would be maybe in a much better standing than they are right now.
No question. We'll see when they meet back again back later in February how the rivalry part 2 will go down.
All right, well, next week the Ducks and the Beavers men make their first ever conference trip to the mountain schools, and the women host Colorado and Utah. That'll wrap it up for this week on Inside the Pack. We'll see you next week. For Nick, I'm Tom. So long.